Hey everybody, it's Kenny K again, and we're going back to the past, 1987, where I chronologically stopped. Now, before we go any further, I'm gonna do a few re-reviews. I know, it can be boring. Maybe some people don't, many are not interested, but back then my audio was crap, and I sort of, when I started making these movies, I was a little bit insecure. My English was insecure. Um, and also, the saying goes, I blowed my wad too early. I took all the greatest movies, in my opinion, like 80s slashers, which is my favorite subgenre. One, and then found footage is also my second favorite. Um, I basically took all the best movies in a few weeks, and that's not good because didn't no good audio, were short. They they earn more. They in my opinion they deserve a better review, and that's why I'm doing a few re-reviews. So, but now I'm gonna start with one that I didn't do yet. It's an Australian 1987 slasher movie, straight to TV, Coda, CODA. Does get a 4.9 on IMDb. 1987 isn't a good year. I'm saying the best year of all for the slasher movies was 81. Okay, in 78 we got Halloween. In 1980 we got Friday the 13th. We got The Thing, which is a slasher movie but a great horror movie. But in 1981 we had Friday the 13th Part 2, Halloween Part 2. We got My Bloody Valentine, The Burning, The Prowler, Graduation Day, Final Exam, has a cult following, and a lot of more, a lot more. And then they were kind of sprinkled after mm, that they were sprinkled around a little bit, and after 85, 86, 87, the years went worse and worse, and you only had a few good ones. And Coda, because it's a 4.9, it gets a 5. It's worth a watch. It's basically, the story is, there's this university, and I like university movies, but you don't get anything in the university. You don't get a feeling that it's a university. And our main actress is Kate, and she lives. The actress, her name is Penny Cook, and that's the only one that I drew on that piece of paper. I never heard of her because they're Australian actors, so that's a little bit, down under. That's always, uh, you know, regional, maybe no, famous people, but anyway, she did what she had to do. Uh, Play the student. Now this, like I said, the dorm rooms look like full-fledged apartments. You can live there all your life. It's like just a high-rise building. And also the students are really old. I mean, Kate is probably mid-30s or older, and I think that's because the university is only for older people, advanced students that know how. It's for opera. It's opera school for opera singers, pianists, and other instruments. So it's probably for older people. Now what happens is, a teacher that lives there in the high-rise dorm rooms gets killed, pushed down the window. You do see some blood squirting against the bush, and a guy looks out of the window, goes to the body, and she was still alive, but then she died, and he found the key, but she was slapping him because she thought he was the killer. Maybe he's the killer. Blonde-haired guy, mid 30s, and he was like his hands were full of blood. He had a key, and of course, somebody sees him. Oi! I'm gonna put you behind bars. I mean, okay, they call the police, and then you get the longest chase you can have. 15 minutes long chase. 15 minutes. He gets cornered by the police in this little hallway, open hallway, cornered by the police. They're threatening halt or we shoot. They don't shoot. Cornered again. He finds a way to go in a creek, loses the key in a drainage, and then he runs away. And in the meantime, they find the the person that was thrown out of the window. She's not dead yet. She's getting to the hospital, and they think it's, of course, that blonde-haired dude. Now, the one who takes the the still living person towards the hospital is Sergeant Detective Sergeant Turner, a female sergeant. Um, she will be more in the movie when I'll talk about it. It's gonna be spoiler free. I'm not gonna spoil the ending. It's a who done it. Um, but then 50, like I said, 15 minutes they lose him. Then he's standing. You see a pair of legs with dirt, and he's doing like this to put the dirt off. And we see that Kate, our main girl, is opening the door. Main woman is opening the door, and apparently it's her ex-husband. So she lets him in. He asks for a card to borrow it because he wants to go to the hospital and ask, because he knows she's still alive for some reason. He's going to the hospital and ask what that key was for. Now, of course, the hospital is full of cops, and what they did, he eventually gets caught and perceived as the killer. Now, the thing is that he's behind bars. Turner has no time to think about somebody else, but Kate and our best friend Sally think Sally, Sally, they think otherwise. Why? Um, because there was somebody else in that hospital and took out the tubings because she was on a breathing apparatus, and she suffocated and died. Now, the guy was just in the hospital, but he didn't went to her room. A black gloved person with black clothes came in. Now, what they did, what I liked was the camera work. They used like a trolley. So when the guy's running, the camera's running towards the hallways, and you see everybody, and you go past nurses and doctors, and then it turns around, you see the person running. So they did that a lot. Camera work, like from above, their camera work, they're pointing the camera. That was really well done. That's something I gotta say. And then we have one of the most ripped off scenes. Now the killer, black gloves. From a distance, you would say he wears a Michael Myers mask. I shit you not. Now from a closer angle, it looks like a Michael, but it's not a Michael Myers mask. It's a white mask, but more the mouth area, it's like Michael Myers, the features, but the eyes are circles. You can see the eyes of the killer, and it has brownish hair, but like this and this and this. And then another mask later on in the movie, the killer wears a mask with rouge, like blush underneath the eyes, and a blonde hair. Maybe it's the blonde haired mask of Halloween 4. Who knows? But then used for this movie, and a bit pasting and changing things. But it's nice to have this Myers because it was a creepy mask. So that's also a good thing. The bad thing, however, is that it's a slow burn. It's a really slow. There are tedious, slow moments. Um, there's even this, and I actually like my favorite scene. A straight off Halloween 1978 rip. You see the white masked guy. Katie and Sally are they park their cars, going to their rooms, and you see the laundry hanging, and he's standing between the laundry looking at them. Now, if you're a Halloween connoisseur or fan or whatever, you know that's the scene that's straight out of Halloween. It was straight out of Halloween. A scene that I did like was they get two oh, uh, tickets for the opera, and they take it because they know it's from the killer, and they are sitting in these booths, but they have binoculars, so everybody has binoculars, so you can see better the people that are singing. But then they notice somebody on the other side with a white mask pulled like that and looking at them. So that was sort of creepy because he was constantly looking at them. So they want to go to him, try to catch him being the mouse and Sally and Kate being the cat. But the problem is it reverses at some point and they become the mouses and he's the cat. And then he goes behind them because, like, what the fuck I'm doing? I gotta kill these bitches, you know? But there were a few of those moments in there, and then a lot of talking, a lot of exposition, a lot of needless and needless exposition. You've got Dr. Steiner, who's the one of the best professors. She's she seems depressed, but she seems odd at the same time, which has alarm bells. There's one kill that I spoil, but that's the only thing I'm gonna spoil, and that's a cool kill because the killer's MO is. I'll tell something else after this because it's stupid. It's so stupid. The killer's MO is usually choking somebody out, suffocating them. In this case, the detective, Sergeant Turner, she goes to the school and she goes to the apparently Dr. Steiner has a brother. He picked up philanthropy. Is a philanthropist or something, and he is going around the world, so she can't question him because she thinks Steiner holds a lot of secrets. Now Steiner has some kind of fondness to Kate because she's her best student, but she's always asking to live with her because she's lonely. But she doesn't want to because she has a perfect big ass apartment for herself. You've got the kill of Turner, which is probably the best kill in the movie. It's she. You see that camera again, that trolley going rapidly towards that door where Turner is in, and when she's walking out, you see the killer. Then the trolley changing the camera, and the front of the killer. You see the mask, of course. Oh yeah, it looks like it's a little. It's not Michael Myers, but it's they did their own touches, and it's creepy. It's kind of creepy, and he goes towards Turner with a samurai blade. That's something new, and starts to slash at her, slash, 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 until she falls over the stairs and dies. That's probably the goriest kill of the movie. There is another moment to, towards the end, but Sally and Kate are constantly working together, but Sally is kind of creeped out constantly, and she doesn't want to, but she wants to help her friend. And because the entire reason why they are doing this is to basically help her ex get out of jail. So they start to follow Steiner, Dr. Steiner, the one who's, you know, a little bit weird. They start to see the clues, and if they're trying to look for the killer. Um, at some point, they're at the school, the university. There's nobody left. There are only them two, and the killer comes out of the corner. Sally's calling the police. He takes the cable. He suffocates her. You know, she is she faints. Then the killer does something weird. Now I'm presuming that the killer thought she was dead. He suffocated her long enough to kill her because she's completely faint. He drags her in the water, and then you see that the killer has a different mask now with blonde hair, and he drags her in the water in the middle of a river, a deep part of the river, and she wakes and she starts to fight, and he starts to push her in the water, but it's hard because if you don't have steady feet on the ground, if you just want to drown her, you don't have to go that deep. Knee high would be enough, but no, he starts. So one, he didn't know she was still alive, or two, he wanted to drown her in the middle of a really deep river. Okay, but there was okay, yeah, that was probably she was he thought the killer probably thought she was dead. So yeah, the last scene is basically a cat and mouse game between the killer and Katie, and um, we get to know who the killer is at some point. Um, but that's where I'm gonna leave it by. So it's a whodunit. You know, it's a good movie. It has some boring pace at moments, a little bit tedious, but it does put something in there, a little bit of stalking and slashing, but then it takes a while to go again, and a lot of exposition between each other, and it was it wasn't a super hard watch, but it wasn't a good watch either because it took too long, and the killer does the samurai blade kill, that was cool. That was cool, but the rest always suffocating. That's and they utilized a creepy killer, but they didn't utilize the killer enough. They should have let the tension building, that rip off scene, no problem, but make it more of that. That the killer is looking at her, you know, creepy. You know, it's not a shame. Everybody ripped off Final Exam, Friday the 13th. They asked Steve Cunningham asked John Carpenter point blank range, can I rip off your movie? He said, yeah, because John Carpenter always had the idea there's never gonna be a second movie, and he has no problem. It's my movie's made. I got my money. I'm going to the next one, right? That's the guy he is. But they should have built up the tension, but it's not really done well, and there are moments here and there, but then they feel safe again, and that's, you know, there's not a big sense of danger because also the killer is like trying to, you know, strangle you, but the killer seems weak. You can easily get, and then the moment the killer lets loose, killer runs away. Um, it's kind of obvious who the killer is. There is a twist, so not obvious, although there's a twist. So um, yeah, the movie's it's okay. It uses moments of tension, I didn't feel the atmosphere of like those empty schools and maybe a few people left. You know, like a final exam, like a what do you university movies out of the top, like a Black Christmas, you know, with fraternity. It didn't feel like that, you know. Maybe it's Australia, it's a different kind of, you know, but the atmosphere wasn't there for me. The tension, there were tense moments, but there were just a few too little. The killer is kind of creepy and not unique, but still made for this movie. It didn't just took Michael Myers mask and no, they really made it their own thing. And the killer gets two masks. Same white mask, white pattern, but with the blush. That's the last mask the killer wears. So acting is good, you know. Of course, you got the accent, you know, the Australian accent, but it's very understandable, no problem. So yeah, recommendation. I'll give it a 5. Give it a try. For a TV movie, it does got some gore, some blood, um, a cool killer, and a few cool tense scenes, especially the opera scene. Uh, in the last scene where she's in the university playing the cat and the killer is following her. So it's pretty. There are tense moments in there. So there's a moment even when she's in the pool, in the university's pool, and she gets pulled underwater by the killer. But then luckily somebody enters the room and he escapes. But there are moments sprinkled in there. So give it a watch, subscribe. I see you next time. Adios.